Time to start. Hello everyone, and thank you for your presence here. My name is Jarosław Sobiecki, and today I want to talk a little bit about possibilities coming from such topic like infrastructure in the code and about creating temporary on-demand testing environment with tool like Vagrant. So, first of all, who I am. My name is Jarosław Sobiecki. Currently, I'm a freelance developer. I'm over 6 or maybe even 7 years in a relationship with Drupal. And currently, I'm a proud member of local freelancer cooperative based here in Wrocław. This cooperative is branded under common brand as RatioWeb. And it is everything about my self-advertisement. And now, agenda for today. First of all, I would like to introduce a major tool required to create an on-demand temporary environment. After that, I will complain for a while why in smaller and less happier organization testing environments usually sucks. After that, I will try to propose my solution, and after that will be a small demo of proof of concept. And if we will, before time, a small QA session. Okay, question to you guys, and one lady. Who knows and uses Vagrant? Raise your hands. Oh, it's surprising. I assume that there will be more hands, but okay. So I will try to introduce Vagrant. Better or worse? Okay. So what is the Vagrant? Vagrant is, generally speaking, a command line tool for management of virtual machines, virtual instances. Historically speaking, it was a command line interface to VirtualBox. It's not exactly true, but it's easier to think in such a way. And Vagrant was able to create virtual machine from command line interface, and after that import prepackaged boxes, image drive. So the whole installation of operating system on this virtual machine was automagical. It doesn't require any input from user. And there is a list available on the web. It's not an official list. Some links over there are outdated, but still it's a good source of knowledge about possible boxes. And because it's a tool from command line interface, we manage specification of virtual machine in a special manifest. In Vagrant world, it's called Vagrant file. And because there are only 2 hands about experience with Vagrant, I will show how it's works in a practice. Okay, so and the interface works in the following way. Those are most important commands from Vagrant. So Vagrant app create instance, halt makes power off, suspend, it's self-explanatory, destroy completely destroys and clean up virtual machine, and Vagrant provision executes configuration management tool. I will talk about it in a few minutes later. Okay, and let's show how it looks like in a practice. Okay. Okay, it's a manifest of Vagrant. It's a default generated, so there is nothing interesting here. The most important line says that I will use a prepackaged box with Trusty 64. It means it's a Ubuntu Trusty in 64 bits version. And there is a plenty other options. I don't have time to describe everything, but in general, if you want to create a virtual machine in Vagrant, you have to prepare such file. And from a usage perspective, it looks like that. I execute Vagrant app, and it will hopefully enable machine. Okay, I see that my virtual machine is already running, so maybe I should hold it. And machine tries to, and it's working, okay. And if I'm bored with my virtual machine, I can destroy it. So it's nothing more than can be achieved simply by using VirtualBox interface. So I think it's not too interesting, but let's go further. Okay, so what Vagrant, such vanilla Vagrant, can do is simply creation of just enough operating system. What do I mean by saying just enough? It's a vanilla installation of Ubuntu, Debian, whatever is your favorite poison. And those vanilla systems aren't too interesting and not too useful. So we should try to convert it in some magical way into web server, database server, whatever you need. And we can do this in a very simple way. I just can log in as a root user and install all packages by hand, edit all files by hand, and okay, it will work, and it's like we usually do, but maybe it's a waste of time. I think the laziness is one of best values in development world. Remember, always be lazy, but always in a smart way. Making a nap in a work is not a smart way, but maybe trying to automatize such boring process is smart. And to do that, we need something that allows us to store configuration in a code, and after that transform this configuration from this configuration management configuration into server configuration. And I love such a solution because I'm a little fetish for code-based solution, and it's because I'm a developer. So I love coding. And there are plenty of configuration management tools out there. I think the most basic are shell scripts. So we can simply write a bash script which makes all required commands in it. So we can execute apt-gets, we can copy some configuration files, but what about idempotency? Idempotency, if you don't know, it's a mathematical term, I think. It means, but in our context, it means that if we execute those scripts more than once, the state of server remains the same. So we can, after first execution, second, third, and so further, server configuration will remain the same. So second and additional execution won't break your server configuration. One of most popular configuration management tools out there is Puppet. I don't know a lot about it, but I think there is a very good use case for Puppet. It's a PuPHPet. It's a wizard for creating Vagrant machines with full LAMP stack on it, and I think it's a very great solution, so you should try it. And second, the most popular solution is Chief. And Chief works as a set of cookbooks. Each cookbook is a, generally speaking, Ruby file, and each cookbook is responsible for different aspects of your server. For example, there are cookbook for configuration of Jenkins, SSH servers, and whatever you need. And under this link, you can find a very impressive list of cookbooks responsible for various kinds of administrative tasks. So with Puppet or Chief, you are able to completely automatize way how your servers are configured. So there is no need for manual work anymore. And I mentioned only two, but list is very, very long, so you can check it on Wikipedia.
There is also very good alternative called Ansible from configuration management.
Yes, to be honest, I only heard about it, but nothing more. The list is very impressive. Ubuntu has Juju, so everyone can find something for himself. And how this might work in a developer team. So the best solution will be storing the Vagrant manifest and configuration, for example, configuration of Chief in a code repository. Each member fetches code from this common repository and executes Vagrant app. And bam, after that, each developer has same configuration. Each developer has same virtual machine with same configuration on it. In case if someone changes configuration of Chief or any other configuration management tool, each developer fetches changes once again and executes Vagrant provision. It will execute the configuration management tool once again and updates configuration on the virtual machine. So, and if project is finished, hopefully it can be destroyed. So, what are benefits from using Vagrant? First of all, configuration can be easily shared across all developers. It's very important and it will investment for the future. It's very easy to prepare environment for my new employee. I have experience with helping junior developers with setting up the development environment, and very often there was usually minor but problems. And from time to time, junior developers tries to work around their problems, and the effects were well different, sometimes scary. So, because configuration can be updated just by fetching some code and executing Vagrant provision, so it's very easy to maintain identical development environment on each developer machine. So it works on my machine problem. So each developer has identical list of PHP extension, PHP version, so if something is wrong, it's your fault. And what is very nice about configuration management tool and Vagrant, if we destroy virtual machine and after some period of time we need this machine once again, we can, by executing Vagrant app, provision this machine once again to life and has identical environment how some period before. And the Vagrant and configuration management tool configuration is stored in code, so it doesn't cost a lot of disk space. Well, you can achieve maybe similar effects by, for example, sharing VirtualBox images, but VirtualBox images are much, much bigger, and it's very hard to propagate changes in such images across team. Okay, so it was a very quick introduction to Vagrant and Chief. Do you have any questions about it?
I have maybe one, the question, just wanted to ask that if someone is starting to use Vagrant, since it's a command line interface, it's a bit difficult at first to find out what exactly is going on. But if you install VirtualBox on your system, then you have a graphical interface where you can actually see all the virtual machines that are being created and so on. So at least for a start, it's also good to have it and see actually what Vagrant is doing.
Yeah, it's a good point. Okay, so okay. This wasn't a question, it was a comment. And the comment was that on the beginning, because Vagrant is a command line tool, it may be tough for new Vagrant users to get a whole idea what virtual machines are on system and what is their state. And very easy solution for that is simply installation of a graphical interface for VirtualBox, and in this graphical interface we will get all virtual machines created by Vagrant. So it's a very good list of everything we created with Vagrant. Okay, so now it's time for complaining. And okay.
So, because you're using Chef, right? Like,
Yes.
So, with Puppet, you define the configuration, and then, for example, if you change something manually on the server, Puppet will see that, and you can revert back. Does Chef does the same?
To be honest, I don't know. Maybe a small disclaimer, I'm not a DevOps, I'm rather amateur in this matter. So the answer is maybe. There is a solution called Hosted Chief, and I think this solution allows us to follow changes in configuration. But the case I'm describing is using Chief Solo, and Chief Solo doesn't see that. When we modify Chief configuration, we simply had to execute Vagrant provision once again. So, okay, so now it's my time for complaining. And I come from Poland, and I'm very good on complaining. It's our national sport. Okay, so I worked in various organizations and at various projects, and very often the projects were performed by organizations not so technically aware or at very limited budget. And it's very nice to achieve goals of organization with limited budget, but very often it comes at some kind of cost. And very often it comes with because of quality. So I meet me with opinion, and this opinion had effects in our real life, that testing environment doesn't provide a business value at all. So it's very tempting to cut down the quality of it. So when we're speaking about hosting, we need a very good production environment, because production environment is our potential source of revenue, because our customers are there. But testing environment, it's only for developers, maybe business stakeholders, but nothing more. So let's cut down quality just to make some budget bars a little better. Okay, I had situation in my experience that I tried to prepare a continuous integration process, and I needed separate environment for automatic test, and answer for executive was no way. Why? Because we don't have budget for that. On other project, there was a testing environment which was shared across few very different projects, and it creates some issues. For example, one project requires very old PHP 5.2, second one requires PHP 5.4, different set of extension, and unfortunately we have huge problems with that. So, well, it's extreme, and I haven't such situation, but maybe very small organization can try working in such way. No testing environment at all. Developers can test on their own machines. So, but I think it's a little bit scary. But it makes opportunity to introduce a brand new test-driven development process. You can deploy to production directly from your developer environment, and if in, let's say, 15 minutes you don't receive any calls from customers, it means you are all green. So it's, and in best case, testing environment is only truncated version of production. So it's not a big deal, but if you want, for example, try some kinds of stress test, maybe you want to have very powerful testing environment just to make sure that the production will also work correctly with real traffic from users. And very often I had problems with difference between configuration of production and testing. So the situation where on production I had extension, for example, PHP memcache, and on testing there was none, or different parameters of MySQL, for example, max packet size. Well, they were very common, and unfortunately it might lead to problems, because something which works on testing don't work very well on production, and in the reverse, you receive false problems on testing which never occur on production. Okay, so maybe someone from you can add additional problems. Do you have any ideas? No ideas. Okay, so that is my little list of problems, and maybe there is a solution for that, or maybe not. Okay. In past few years, there are real hosting revolution. There are plenty of hosting providers, cloud hosting providers, who charge users not by month or by year, but by hour, and can change our way how we try to use servers. And fact number 2, new Vagrant, from version 1.1 and bigger, comes with new very nice feature, plugins. And what plugins do, they introduce support for new provisioners, so provisioner configuration management tools, some helper tools, and what most important, hosting solutions. So we aren't hard-coded to VirtualBox anymore. We are free. We can create by Vagrant instance on Amazon Web Services, DigitalOcean, Rackspace, and many, many others. It also, if you have your own data center, supports private cloud. So there are plenty of possibilities. So we are able to manage servers via code by using Vagrant with set of plugins. So as I mentioned before, I think that the source of my problems was one, the money, or maybe not money, but lack of money. So what if we are able to create very cheap, still powerful testing environment? And solution is following. Let's take a time-based hosting, create temporary environment only for time of testing, and this should make an effect of drop of costs. So instead paying for whole month, why we don't pay for 2 hours of testing? And it's possible. So the idea is we need a fully automagical environment by using Vagrant and Chief or another tool. It's only one possibility, but there are plenty alternatives. When we start our testing job on Jenkins executes simply Vagrant app, and it's create our testing environment, and it's ready and it's wait on the cloud. After that, we can prepare our application for testing. Tests are performed. In my case, in case of demo, we will perform very dumb stress test. And after tests are over, we simply execute Vagrant destroy and and it cleans environment. And at this moment, the clock isn't ticking anymore, and the money doesn't flow from our wallet. And it's whole idea, no rocket science here. So okay, let's make a simple demo. Okay, I will show a little bit of code, how it was done, and hopefully after that I will execute such tests, and we'll see how it works. Okay. Okay, it's my workspace. I have here a few very important things. First of all, I have built XML file. It's a built XML for Ant. Ant is a sorry, I had a slide for that. Okay. Okay, so from technical perspective, I need a quite simple testing environment, 3 servers, web server, database, and cache. I'm using Memcache for caching server. Each server has different specification. As continuous integration server, I'm using Jenkins, bloody Jenkins. And for build scripts, I'm using Ant. And I'm using very helpful small plugin for Vagrant. It's called Vagrant Hostmaster. And what this plugin makes, after creation of each virtual instance by Jenkins, it updates host files on on Jenkins server and on web, database, and memcache. So each server can connect to each other. Because IP addresses of instance created in DigitalOcean, I'm using DigitalOcean for demo, are dynamic, so I can't hardcode those IPs. Okay, and this environment looks like that. So nothing fancy here. Okay, so let's take a look on the code. Okay. Okay, so it's a very small build script. I have few important things here. Okay, I have magical target called create environment, and what this target actually makes, it executes Vagrant with two arguments, app and provider DigitalOcean. Provider DigitalOcean is required by DigitalOcean plugin for Vagrant. I have also destroy environment, which simply executes destroy with additional flag force. It disables interaction from user. And I also have perform testing. It executed JMeter. And I have prepare application. It simply imports database dump into database and flush the cache. Importing database as a part of testing process is very bad idea, but for demo should be okay. Okay, it's a build XML, and my environment is created with Vagrant, and my Vagrant file doesn't look very scary. I hope so. Vagrant has very nice feature. It allows us to define few instances in single file. So there is now not rule one file, one server. We have 3 servers defined in single file. Okay, so here we have some magical code required by plugin for DigitalOcean. So basically, I'm creating instance in data center in Amsterdam. By default, I'm using image with Ubuntu 14.04. And I need also use some magical tokens like client ID and IPK, but they are not here. And after that, I'm executing configuration for each server. So my web server will use a little bit image, Ubuntu 12.04, and its size will be 2 gigabytes. After that, I will execute chief just to configure this server correctly from scratch. After that, I got database, and I'm working in a very similar way. I create a bigger instance with 4 gigabytes of RAM, and I execute update just to make sure that all packages will install correctly. So also I am executing chief, and for cache server with memcache, it's very same. So it's about 40 lines of code. So it's not a big deal, I think. And just to show that cookbooks aren't a very scary thing, I will show my cookbook which I use for configuration of, for example, my Apache server. It's everything I have to do just to make this server working. So I install a bunch of packages. After that, I enable few extensions for Apache, and I'm creating a virtual host for Apache. So, and it's about 20 lines of code. So I think it's not a big deal. But unfortunately, learning curve for Chief is high, is steep, in my opinion. So it's everything about code. I have similar cookbook for MySQL. There, on this cookbook, I just creating a Drupal database on my MySQL server. 4 lines of code. And I think it's everything. Those all cookbooks visible on screen are aren't mine. Those are dependencies. So there are plenty of dependencies, but you don't have to write those cookbooks on your own. Okay, so do you have questions about it? Any questions? Okay, no questions. Okay, so let's see the demo. Okay, first I will show you my billing data for my DigitalOcean account. Hopefully, okay, yes. Okay, so currently this red value is number of US dollars I owe currently the DigitalOcean company. So it's not too much. So we'll see how much money I will have to pay for executing single testing process. And just to show you a general idea, not this, how much does it cost? I will using few instance. I will use 1 gigabyte instance, and it costs about $10 per month. I will also use this instance, $20, and for GB, 40. So it makes altogether it makes $70 per month. It's not too much, but it's very simple environment. So, and we'll see how much I will pay during this test. Okay. Okay. We are on my Jenkins server. It's a very simple configuration of Jenkins. Here is my demo job, and I will show you my configuration of job. Hopefully. Okay. Coś tam widać. So I'm fetching code from Git repository, and after that I'm execute 3 simple commands: and create environment, and prepare application, and perform testing, and destroy environment. And it's all. And after that I will try to visualize performance test results. So nothing fancy here. Okay. No, on this demo, JMeter is executed from Jenkins server. Well, I understand that for very good performance stress testing, we should create maybe a cluster of JMeter hosts, but on a demo, I installed JMeter on same machine as Jenkins. Okay, and okay, we are starting. What's happening now? Well, to be honest, this process can take about 10 minutes, so I think we should be fine with time. Okay, so currently I'm connecting to DigitalOcean, and I'm trying to create new droplet. Droplet are instance in DigitalOcean, and here are my droplets. Okay, first droplet was created, but we have to wait for configuration. Okay, we have to wait a little bit. So during the execution of test, do you have questions? Maybe some comments? Okay. Well, in case if I will be affected by presentation effect, I have also offline version of this log, so just to, in case of problems, I can show you previously generated log. Maybe I will do in this way. Okay. Okay, so how whole process looks like. First, I create a new instance of server. After that, Vagrant executes rsync just to update my my droplet with code from repository. At this moment, Vagrant is downloading Chief just to prepare Chief for execution, and after that, Chief makes a lot of various things just to install all required packages, some warnings, okay. And after that, after whole configuration management tool is executed, we have web server, okay. On live demo, we can see that something is happening with a web server. So in a minute, maybe 2 minutes, we can have a database. So something is happening. I will try to connect. I should receive a error, but we will see. Oh, okay, so my web server was created, but nothing interesting is currently on the server, and we don't have a database. So it was error as should be. Okay. Okay, we have 3D web, and now we are creating a database. Let's see if our droplet list is updated. Okay, and I got new server. So as you can see, it's done completely automagical. There is no little fairies somewhere on backstage who creates those servers for me. So it's only a matter of creating valid code, and your whole infrastructure will be created in automatic way. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's offline. Okay. We are installing various things on database server. So in a few moments it should be ready. Okay. Good. And in a few moments I should have also memcache server. Okay, it takes a little bit time, but it's working. Okay, our database server is working, and now we are creating last server, memcache server. Okay, and now, last and our smallest server is creating. We are okay, in a few moments it should be done. Or not. Okay, as you can see, something changed on my web server. At the moment I was able to connect to database, but unfortunately database is empty, so I get different problems. Okay. Okay. So, DigitalOcean and I think different hosting providers charge user by hour. Hour is a smallest quant of time. So, if you execute few tests on hour, unfortunately, you will be charged few times because each when you create and destroy environment back and forth, unfortunately, each created server is counted as separate entity. So be aware that if you execute too many tests in an hour, your bills will be bigger. But okay, I hope it will be done in let's say 1 minute, but we'll see. But maybe just to, okay. In a few moments, my memcache server should be done, and when it will be done, my JMeter JMeter application will execute tests from a test file, but it's not very interesting. And after that, when testing are done, it will simply execute destroy environment command, and it will cleanse, destroy or droplets. And in general, it's working in this way. So we create environment before test, we execute test, and after that, we clean up our environment. And we pay only for time of testing. So it's much, much cheaper than usually scenario when you have a flock of servers and you pay for all of them in a full month. Okay, maybe it's done. Yeah, a few moments. Okay, so my cache server is finishing its setup. So in a few moments we should be after demo. But okay, it can work in a background, and I will go further. So as you can see, I was able to execute those tests a few times. Unfortunately, I receive from time to time errors with application, but in general, okay, it's working. So as you can see, I was able to visualize data. Each of execution was done on a different environment. So the proof of concept seems to working. I don't know how it will behave on a real battlefield. Maybe there will be a lot more issues, but we will see. Yes. Well, I didn't plan to mention about JMeter testing, but okay, it's executed in following way. JMeter executes a JMeter plan. I can show it if you want. And it's done with few flags from command line, and those flags are responsible for generating a file JTL. It's a special format of JMeter results, and I'm using a performance plugin for Jenkins, and this plugin allows us to parse this JTL file. And in this case, yes, Jenkins is integrated with JMeter results, but only thanks to plugin, performance plugin. I'm not sure if these JTL files are generic or only JMeter specific, but it's working for me. Okay. Oh. And during answer on question, my tests were performed. So we can check. Okay. 3 servers, and now there is only one. Jenkins wasn't created as part of process. It wouldn't have much sense. And let's say how much I spent. Oh, I think it's updates after some time, but we can check it by hand. When I checked it during preparation of this presentation, such execution cost me about 10 cents. Yes. So assuming that you execute test in a working day, in a month you get about 20 working days. So you pay for such configuration and about $4 per month. So comparing with 70 bucks per month, I think it's a huge difference. So it's only proof of concept, but I just wanted to put on your radar possibility coming from infrastructure in a code and time-based hosting. So we are about to end. So there are more and more possibilities. More sophisticated testing environments? Yes, you can. You need Solar server, database cluster, web farm. Yes, you can. For example, Selenium Grid. Selenium Grid is a cluster of various servers where different operating systems are installed. For example, we have Windows, Linux, or anything you need. And Selenium executes browser on those servers and performing testing. So with such approach, you can create Selenium Grid just for time of testing. So it might be much cheaper than classical approach. Okay, you want to check if implementing database cluster in your server can help with your performance problems? Yes, you can. Well, it's maybe not a good idea, but it's also possible to maintain your whole infrastructure with such tools. So you can create your production, testing, staging, whatever you need. Even my Jenkins installation was created from code. And what is very nice about the Vagrant files, it's a Ruby files. So I have seen an example of Vagrant file where servers were created in loop. So in loop we create web servers, in loop we create Redis, and so possibilities are very, very promising. And I think there is a lot more application for such approach, but I don't know at the moment. Okay, so we are about to end. Do you have any questions for me? Okay, no questions. Okay, so if there is no questions, thank you for your attention.